Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very latest Cats podcast. We are here on the 12th of May, and it's time to sit down and discuss all the important things. Okay, there's so much going on right now that we actually need to have a very serious conversation. And the first important thing we need to say is Happy Mother's Day, people. Happy Mother's Day. Cherish your mothers. If you have a wife who's a mother, cherish her as well. And of course, it's just been passed in America. In Europe, it's coming up. So everyone, please take a minute, pause this podcast. It's not often we say something like that. And then just go and give your wife, your mother a kiss and say, thank you. And that's it. So there we go. Public announcement over. I know Mother's Day is very important to Ash. How you doing, Ash?
Hey, mate. I've got several of them, but this is one of my LA Spurs shirts. This is
Very
our
nice. Very
club.
stylish.
Yeah, we actually put out some pretty cool shirts, actually.
Have you got one in green?
I'll have to ask about that, actually. Yeah.
I'm very tempted to get a Cads t-shirt made up just for the final. But we'll see how it
Right.
goes. Yes.
Right.
But of course, the final is pretty much what's on everybody's mind now. We are recording the day after the Crystal Palace game, and there are a lot of people who are extremely upset that we lost. I'll be honest, I'm not one of them. I wrote off this league campaign a very long time ago. I'm pretty sure Ash will remember me saying, I suspect we may not win another league game this season, and I really don't care. Well, yeah, that was pretty close. I don't mind. Oh, hello. We've got somebody new joining us. This might be someone who does care that we lost a game. But hey, John, how you doing?
Is this John
I'm
Chase?
good, mate. No, John Gerber.
Oh, great. Well, John, we've seen you before. Yeah.
Yeah, John's been with us many times. How you doing, John?
What's that, mate?
So
I'm all right.
Yeah, cheers.
So, John, we've just done the obligatory Mother's Day call out. I hope you've congratulated your wife.
Mother's Day. It's not Mother's Day now, is it?
No, it's been, hasn't it?
In America and Canada.
It's coming up.
Yesterday.
It's coming up here in Europe.
It's in June, isn't it? It's in June, isn't it?
Is it June for the UK? Oh, it's all over the shop. All over the shop. This is why I struggle with keeping hold of it. Okay,
when's Father's Day? It's Father's Day March.
Nobody knows when nobody cares when Father's Day is.
No,
my kids took me out for brunch on the Sunday. It was very nice, thank you.
Very nice. Okay, so John, I was just saying that we are recording the day after the Crystal Palace loss, and frankly, it wasn't a surprise. And genuinely, at this point, I don't actually care that much that we lost a league game against Crystal Palace. I suspect you may feel different.
Well, part of me obviously doesn't care because in the grand scheme of things, but what actually bothers me, Stuart, is we have drifted. We have just drifted along for a half a year now, and in truth, it's actually unacceptable because that team that he put out yesterday was still should. I'm not saying they would have won because all credit to Palace. I thought Palace would be like us. You know, they've got the cup final coming up next weekend. You know that it would be a ball fest. But credit to Palace, they got stuck in and they wanted to win, whereas we just drifted along, and we've been doing that all season. And that team. The players that started that match yesterday should have still been good enough to not necessarily win, but at least give Palace a match, and we did not give them a match one bit. We were just awful.
I think there are two things that kind of explain. Do not get me wrong, right? When that game started, I wanted us to win as badly as anybody. Before the game, I was like, I really don't mind what happens. After the game, after I'd calmed down a little bit, I was like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. But when the game started, as ever, I was fooling myself into thinking we can definitely win this. There's a chance. But we made 9 changes in that team. Only Pedro Porro and Kulusevski retained their starting spots from the previous match. And I don't think that side had ever played together a 90 minutes, a league match. They'd ever started a league match together. It's that kind of thing. It's against the side who only made 2 changes. Crystal Palace made 2 changes. They had a settled side. They played together. You know, it's really difficult to be able to expect it to be. And Crystal Palace are not an easy touch. They're a good side this season. They're in the cup final, FA Cup final for a reason.
Stuart, I agree about Palace, right? Look, if it was a one-off, you go fine. But this has not been a one-off. And he has, he's got a shadow squad that he's been able to, or should be able to work with. And I'm just sorry that what happened, and it's not just what happened yesterday. It's throughout this season. It's just been shocking. I mean, I know we had this discussion the last time that I came on here, but I mean, but even more so now that win or lose this cup final, he has got to go. I'm sorry. Look, there's lots of things I like about Ange, but he's out of his depth, in my opinion now, or he's just too stubborn that he won't change things, whatever.
Well, there was somebody ran, I think it was Matt, ran an actual poll on the forum asking this very question. If Ange wins, should he stay or should he go? And the majority of people are actually Ange should stay. I mean, it's still a long way away. You've still got to win the cup. I think that was a large thing for a lot of people. If he wins the cup, he gets a stay of execution. I'm personally of the opinion that it's been such a bad season, and we've had so many changes and so much chopping and changing throughout, that I think he deserves another season. And I know, I understand the arguments against, I really do. But this is a guy who is a figurehead for our club now. And he talks such sense, and he's obviously got the backing of the players. You can't look at the scenes in the changing rooms, the way they fought for him against Border Glimt, and say that he does not have the backing of the senior players.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Actually, I didn't really want to talk about the Palace game because I didn't watch it.
I'm not sure he's got. I'm not sure he's got all the backing of all the players, and I just think like Man United did.
It looked like it on the video.
Yeah, it looked to me like he had it. I mean, the senior players are the ones I'm talking about. There might be a few fringe players who he has not got fully convinced. But for me, I think the senior players, the ones that we rely on to be playing week in, well, I'd like to say week in, week out. They've not been playing week in, week out. The ones when it's a big match, when it comes to a crunch match, the ones that we then turn to, those are the ones who believe in him, and he's got them on his side. And I just hope we see more of those players next year, because the reality is a lot of the games that have been played, we've lost because we've not had our better side out. If you just look at the stats around Romero and Van der Ven, they've played 21 times together this season. Of those 21 times, they've won 16 matches, drawn 2 and lost 3. That is really, really indicative that they are crucial to this side.
I think it might have that stat. I think that stat might have included Vicario and perhaps the 2 fullbacks as well, Stu.
No, that was just Romero.
I know, but I heard another one that had all 5 of them when we were there. We also had very good results. When all 5 were there, very good results. Okay, John, you're entitled, and all the other people on the forum are entitled. But I was having this conversation with a Welsh pal of mine on the weekend, and we were discussing Ange, and if we win, I would like to see us maybe even given him a contract extension. People are going to hate me for saying that. Because
you're going to get, definitely some people are not going to be happy with that.
Because choice. You know what, you can still fire him. No big deal. You can still fire him. Contract extension. Because I think, just as you said, I like him as a person, as a being. I think he's actually learning. He's learning in the last 5 games in the Europa only. That's all I'm going on. In the last 5 games in the Europa, he's learned how to make us win. Now he's up against it in the final with two of our creative sources, Madison and Berryvall out, and Decky's hurt. But you know what? Bring Sarr in, bring Gray in, whatever. Let's see if we can do it. I just think chopping and changing. A new manager goes, I don't like these players. We're going to have to change them, and then they're going to have to bed in and whatever. So almost for practical reasons, not because I'm an huge Ange fan, or anything like that. For practical reasons, I would say, give him another season, especially if we actually win this cup, which is not going to be easy. I'll admit to that. So that's my take, and quite frankly, I would turn off if people are just ranting on about Ange, because who cares? What's important now is that game next week. I don't care. Get to that game next week, and then you can deal with it after that. Get to that game next week.
So you actually touched on something there that I think is also pertinent to this game. Decky's injury. So
Yep.
Kulusevski took a knock, came off, and I bet there was a lot of players looking at him and going, that's how close we are to starting in the Europa League final. It just takes one player to get a knock.
And just said he's only a knock, and he should be okay.
Luckily, yeah. But then he also said that Solanke will only be out for a few days.
Yeah, Berryvall was a tweak on his ankle.
Yeah, well, they're saying Berryvall may be fit for the final. He's training back on grass, people. Let's not.
Really? Where have you seen that?
Yes. There's been videos of him training on grass. I'm like, okay, he's no longer wearing the protective boot. Let's see what happens. That would be a major turnaround.
What happened? I don't even know what happened to Madison. What happened?
Madison, he got a whack in the Border Glint game, the first leg.
The knee, and he's got an MCL, so he's definitely out, but no surgery apparently.
No surgery.
Yeah, I would like to.
So what I was saying about Kulusevski is there will be players who were in that team who were starting who were saying we are so close to the first team, and if one player gets hurt from the preferred starting 11, I could be the one that steps in. If it's a wide player, if Sonny does not manage to get fit, then let's be honest, Richarlison is not exactly known for being reliable in his fitness. Matty Stell might be looking at it and saying, I could get in here. If Brennan Johnson picks up an injury, then Odegaard will be saying, that's an opportunity for me.
He did today in training. Reggie tackled him. And he did. And he goes, well, we hope he's all right.
Despite Ange saying he's wrapping them all in cotton wool, they absolutely need to. But I mean, the other thing is, Sonny released a statement. I don't know if you've heard this.
No.
Okay. But he said, I've said this for years, but the biggest reason I've stayed at Tottenham is because I want to achieve something others haven't. That's why I'm still here. To complete a puzzle, you need every piece, right? I feel like we've put almost the pieces together, but we've always been missing that one final crucial piece. It feels like I've spent the past 10 years searching for it, and I really hope that this time we can finally complete the puzzle. Every match is special to me, and I value each one the same, but this upcoming game feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something that may never come again. Now, Sonny is an extremely experienced player who's played in big matches, and that sounds to me like someone who is not focused on the other matches. He's focused on that one Europa League final, and Ange certainly is. And it's for that reason that I was not surprised that we lost against Crystal Palace. That's why I'm not particularly bothered that we lost against Crystal Palace. Yes, it hurts at the time.
It's not that we look. It's not that we lost, and it's not that that one match. You've got to look at it. This has been going on. Firstly, there was the excuse for the injuries and a number of matches that we had to play, and it was very, very difficult. But we've now, for the last, probably since February, he's got the majority of the players back. The matches have been spaced out now, and he's even had gaps between matches. And I'm just, I don't want us to get into that same.
Oh, John, you're breaking
that
up.
Man United found themselves. They decided to go to them. we just can't do that. I
John, why can't you just let it go until after the freaking final? Just let it go.
no, actually, I'm not saying we get rid of him now.
Well,
Of
that's what it
course.
sounds like. We don't even.
No, no, no. It's
We
not.
shouldn't even be
I'm not
talking
saying that.
about it. We shouldn't even be talking about it. Everyone should. You, us, all the fans, the club. Everyone should be together on that one game. Forget about it. We can deal with it the day after, on the Thursday after it. We can go, okay, he won or he lost.
I'm not
Let's.
disagreeing with you on that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But I'm just saying the reality is, and the reality is I am pretty certain that the come the Brighton match, that will be the end of him. And I would hope it's all done in an amicable way, etc., etc. But we have to we cannot go into next season. We play out this season because that's what's happened. Anybody with that record that he's had this season would have long gone. But for whatever reason, he's still here. We've now got to obviously see it through until the end of the season. But once that season's done, they need to get somebody in. I've said in the past who I'd like to get in. I'm not saying that is the only people I'd like to see get in, but that's just the way I see it. The football we've played this season, and even with what the players.
Stop. Jesus, can we just move on? Birkin.
Okay, but no, John's got a fair point. Like if
Birkin,
it had been any other season,
took us down
and brought us back up.
Yeah.
But if it had been any other season, and he did so by losing less games than we have this season, to be fair, we've had a bad season. It's been an extremely bad season. And if it wasn't for Europa League, he would be gone by now. If we dropped out at the end of the league stage, he would not still be at the club. I think we can all agree on that, right? It's the Europa League that has saved him. And it's the Europa League that may continue to save him. I was surprised he lasted out February, because in the kind of run that we had. No, but I was surprised that he lasted February, because the kind of run we had, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
The knee-jerk reaction from Daniel Levy has always been sack the manager and try and find someone else who he thinks can do better.
Absolutely.
But equally, he's failed to do that on a number of occasions.
Look, I think if Levy could have I think Levy actually knows possibly who he wants to come in, and it probably just wasn't possible to get that person in the middle of the season, in particular the mess that we were in. Who really want to take over in that mess? So he's, and we were still involved in, obviously, in the Europa League. So the sensible thing was just let this season play out, see where we go. But the bottom line is, the stats they're just appalling. 20 defeats in the league. We've never had that before. It's, and in all probability, let's be honest, we're 100% going to lose to Aston Villa on Friday. And
I very much suspect so, yeah.
Yeah, and depending whether Brighton have still got a chance of going for a place in Europe, and of course for us it'll be in the aftermath of the cup final, depending what the result is. There's a good probability we're going to lose the Brighton match as well. So that would be 22 league matches and an abysmal showing against Liverpool in the second leg of the semi-final, and well beaten by Aston Villa in the FA Cup. It's just not good. And also, let me also add is that look, when he started at Tottenham, those first 10 matches, it was exciting football.
Mm-hmm.
It was exciting football, but can you say the football we're playing now is exciting? I just don't even see it anymore.
I think there's a difference between the football we see in Europe and the football we see in the league. And I think the league football has been very poor, and the football we've seen in Europe has been significantly better, shown that there is a plan to play for, and they've followed that, and they've done the job they're
focused.
Yeah,
absolutely. They've been focused.
Yeah, absolutely. They're focused, but also they are the top players. So those top players have not been featuring in the league for quite some time. despite the fact that they are fit and supposedly raring to go. When did we last see a Van der Ven and Romero partnership in the league? It's been a while.
Yeah.
So with
Have,
all of those things,
have I pissed off Ashley?
No, I think he's gone off for a drink. So who knows? He'll be back. But no, look, I understand your unhappiness. And if it was a normal season, I would be right alongside you. I would be extremely unhappy. But the reality is,
look, you know, look, I'm not one of these people that mouth off after every defeat, and I'm not, you know, I'm normally quite balanced in my view.
yeah, we're losing you, John. Sorry, mate. Ash, gonna need you back, buddy. Come on in. I think we've lost John. I think we've lost John.
Oh, hate to say it. I didn't come on to listen to a litany of things. I came on to.
But this is the reality of it is, John. We keep losing you, mate. When you start talking, it keeps dipping out. So I don't know what's going on. The reality is, it's been a bad season. Okay, apart from Europe. But if we win this Europa League, no one's going to be talking about in 2 or 3 years' time. No one is going to be talking about this, apart from the fact that the history books show that this is our worst run ever in terms of losses in the league season. It will be forgotten because anyone's going to talk about the 24-25 season is that, oh, that's the season we won the Europa League. That's all anyone is going to do. Then nobody's going to say, oh, that's the season that we lost 21 matches.
Absolutely.
And losing 21 matches is terrible. It is awful. And normally it would be relegation type form. But the fact is we got away with it. And if we can get away with it and win the Europa League, then that gives us a chance to regroup over the summer. And reality is, I don't know whether Ange is going to be manager next season.
None of us do. Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to think he is because I admire the guy. I think the guy's got leadership qualities that I hope will start to rub off. And the more I see of him, even during this period where he is under pressure and has been under pressure, I still think that's the guy to lead our club. But I understand why other people do not feel that. I understand why John feels the way he does.
Right. Can we move forward?
There's not really a lot more to say because we are going to be doing a full preview of the Europa League game later this week. So, I just think wanting to come on here tonight, just clear the air a little bit about Crystal Palace and let somebody come on who, if they wanted to come and vent, let them vent. So, John, I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you had the chance to get that out because I bet that's been sitting on you for a little bit, hasn't it?
It's just the way. It's just the way it is. I mean, what more is really normal is what I just said. It's this. It's you probably are remote from this because you're in France, but and Ashley is in the States. But I mean, there's been all this chat, as I said, from Wenger and others a lot on the talking about that really. Neither Man United or Spurs they're being embarrassment, and it shouldn't be allowed to get into the Champions League. I mean, it's such nonsense. I mean, the whole reason why a Champions League berth was given to the Europa League was so people took it seriously, and that's exactly what it's done. That's exactly what it's done. And so this is where Ange is absolutely right. There is 100%. There is a narrative by the media, by obviously.
You were going so well, and then you cut out. So yeah, there is definitely a narrative from the media trying to belittle the result. Whoever wins it, they're going to try and belittle it.
But also, anything Tottenham does, there's this narrative, isn't it? And I think they'll be totally disappointed if Spurs end up winning that trophy because a lot of that rubbish. What they'll probably come out with next is say, well, the Europa League it's a second-rate competition now. Because you don't get the teams that were in the Champions League falling back into the competition. And again, that's nonsense because I think from the records of the since they had the team dropping into the Europa League from the Champions League, I think only 8 teams who was in the Champions League have actually gone on to win the competition. So the majority of the teams that have won it was in the competition from the start. But as I said, that the media they won't fit the narrative, and they'll try and belittle the achievements. I mean, I'm so I so God I hope we win. I mean, in truth, it's an amazing final for the wrong reasons, isn't it? Because both Spurs and Man United come into this with awful records and stuff like that. And of course, whoever is the loser, I mean, look, I think in truth, the pressure is more on Ange because I think with what's his name? What the Man United manager?
Ruben Amorim. Yeah.
I think whatever happens, he will be given another season because
He might not be.
he's
No, I have one of my best Welsh friends over here is a Man U inveterate, like my dad was. And this is the biggest game of the year between Tottenham, for me personally, Tottenham and Man U. And anyway, Jeremy Thomas has said he doesn't like what Amorim is doing, and they made a mistake in hiring him, especially in the mid-season. So anyway, I think he's under tremendous pressure himself, and quite frankly, I think we've got more potential moving forward than they do. They're just like a mishmash of players. And this is one of the tactics we'll talk about on Thursday. We man-mark Fernandez out of the game, and I think we're going to win the game. Of course, I don't know if we'll have any players left to do that, but if we man-mark him out of the game, that'll be it. So anyway, I think there's a lot of pressure on Ange, obviously, John, and also Amorim. To me, it's just one last thing. When I was growing up, the two big games, because I lived in Wales, I didn't live in London. Arsenal was not the big thing. The two big things, my dad was a Man U fan, and he went to Old Trafford and stuff. And I wasn't a Man U fan. I was a Spurs fan, and he was upset and hurt by that, But the two biggest games were Man U and Spurs. This will be the fourth time we play them this season. It's huge. For me, it's like, okay. For all
Ruben Amorim has come out in the press today, and he has said that if he is not able to turn around things next season, then he expects to be sacked. If in the early stage of next season,
that goes wrong. I mean, as I said, I think he's the fact he took over halfway through the season, he's only been given one transfer so far. Yeah. He's going to be given that time. The pressure is more on Ange. Actually, there's another thing. Somebody posted me something. The official for the final.
Yeah.
Okay, I think is a German.
Yes.
And apparently he got done for taking bribes in 2005.
It was one single bribe. It was a €250 bribe, and he reported it. He actually reported it to the authorities, and he was the reason that the guy was kicked out of football, basically.
Fair enough.
But because he was involved in it, he was given a 6-month ban. So yes, he has a history of being involved in bribery, but it doesn't show well on him. But if you're going to be involved in a bribery scandal, that's the way to do it, I guess.
No, that's fair enough.
Not Gary Neville being referee, something like that.
Yeah. I did find it quite interesting that Gary Neville was talking about underperforming managers. I mean, his stint as a manager at Villarreal was the very epitome of underperforming. But yes,
I mean, I like often what he says, Gary Neville, but it does make me laugh. These so-called football pundits that are on the television, they say that the manager should do this, the manager should do that, and yet the most of these people that are giving their opinion, they're either failed managers themselves, or they've never managed at all in the first place.
Never even tried.
Yeah.
It's surprising because over here in professional sports, since this is my business, it used to be for many years to write about professional sports, not just from players, but also the management and owners. I interviewed owners, which was fantastic. I went on a private plane with one of the owners. So for some reason, the pundits here are not as biased as they seem to be in Britain, and they're actually quite good. And they tend to look at tactics, as opposed to just spewing an opinion, And I have noticed big difference in that. I don't watch, John. Unfortunately, you're there, so it's probably all around you. Well, we don't get the Sky Sports stuff here or whatever stuff. I can pick and choose what I want to see. So yeah, it's a little bit different over here than over there. I don't, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. Quite frankly, I'm really picky and choosy with the podcasts as well. There's several of them. I go, no, I can't. I'm unsubscribing. I'm not even going to. And I'm just not a guy who likes negativity around me, And
Well, actually, I don't normally. I get in truth when it comes to Tottenham anyway. I don't. It's just I've gone over to the other side as it were on this particular issue. But going back to listening to the pundits and stuff like that. Unfortunately, because of my job, I listen to the radio for 10 hours or so a day. So I tend to listen to the talk sport. A lot of people call it talk shite, and it is, for most of the time, they say things just to get people to phone in, and that I think they think that
it is exactly
Spurs are easy picking, and so they come out with this rubbish, absolute rubbish, which I'm like I feel like phoning up and saying, "What the hell are you talking about? You talk absolute nonsense." But I don't, of course. But
that's exactly what they want you to do. That's their business model. Upset people to the point where someone will call in and on a premium rate number and give them more content for the future. Yeah, that's exactly what they want. It's clickbaiting. It's rage baiting. And
Yes.
I'm very happy that that's something that we've generally avoided on this podcast. We're not interested in making like sweeping statements and trying to get people in by trying to be controversial. And what you said tonight is not controversial, okay? Because yours is, going by Matt's poll, is 45% of the views at the moment. 45% people view things the same way as you do. And when Austin switches to Ange out, which has happened this very weekend, there's got to be an issue. So there are issues at the club. No one is saying there are not, and anyone who is needs to kind of get their head out the sand a little bit. But I'm still hopeful that things can be turned around, and I'm still hopeful that we've got a damn fine chance in this Europa League final. We will talk more about it in the preview show. But somebody said that we've lost so many finals. We've been in the final so many times, and I was like, when was the last time we were in a final against a side that we genuinely could beat and lost it? And the last time I could think of was Blackburn. And Blackburn were not actually a bad side at that point. They would, it was kind of 50-50.
Even Stuart, in the semi-finals, you look at the semi-finals you've played, other than say Blackburn in the final in 2002 when it was, and Portsmouth in the FA Cup. I mean, by and large, we played against the likes of Chelsea, City, United. Where and you're right. This time, they are still the favourites, and if I'm honest, I make them the slight favourite simply because, you can't hide the fact that they, for all their troubles that Man United have had over the last few seasons, they've won a trophy the last 2 seasons. So that team, those players know how to get over the line. And that's something that is hanging over us, And I'm not saying we can't do it, and I'm really hopeful. But I'm just saying, if I had to say who's the favourite, I would say they are marginal favourites. And the other thing that bothers me is because we have already beaten them 3 times this year. You think to yourself, can we really beat them 4 times in a season?
Oh, we absolutely can.
Yes,
absolutely
absolutely.
Can. Come on, John, have some faith. Have some faith.
I hope so. You haven't. I've booked my. I've booked. I couldn't book up the arrangements to go to Spain early because my son works for Arsenal, and they wouldn't give him the time off for going to Spain.
Because they might be in their own final.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was exactly, and he went to Paris last week for the second leg, and he but anyway, well, he's got time off, so we had to book later in the day to
I
sort
see.
out our arrangements. So you know, when me and my son go on our European ventures, it's normally planes, trains, and automobiles. You know, it's a road trip, which is exactly what we. Well, I mean, like coming home,
Hmm.
we have to drive to this airport. It's about 150 miles away from Bilbao. We're taking a flight from northern Spain to Palma in Mallorca, and then we pick up a flight from there back to Luton. You know, that's the kind of thing we're doing. But you know, all
Well,
part of the
even
fun.
I've looked at it. Even I've looked at driving it. I believe it's an 8-hour drive from where I am. I looked at it. I was like, "There's no way I can afford accommodation." So I measured up the boot of my car, and I've just got a new car, and it's a big one. And I looked it up. I measured it up. I'm pretty sure I can fit an inflatable mattress, double mattress in the back of that thing. I would be nice and comfortable. I tell you, I'm not doing it. I don't think it would be fair to my wife to leave her with 3 children. But look, we're going to be talking about the Europa League final. I believe it is Thursday night. We're all getting together and having a bit of a chat. I'm trying to sort out some special guests. I'm not going to say who, but I have 2 people who I'm in contact with. I've got a tentative maybe from one of
Ange,
them.
is it Ange?
It's not Ange. Ange was busy. So Ange was too busy. But I've got a tentative maybe from one of them. But to be fair, the timing really doesn't work out for him. So that's probably a no. But the other person has said, yes, they are interested. So I've sent them the link and we'll see whether they turn up. But ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Mother's Day if you've got it coming up. I hope you enjoyed Mother's Day if it's just been. If you're in the UK and it's coming up in June, just wait, it'll get there. But thank you everybody, thanks for joining us. Thank you John, thank you Ash, and of course until next time, come on you Spurs.